Happy Friday, Illiana Christian. Welcome to another episode of Illiana Insights. We're here with Darren DeBoer again and Lance Davids, Illiana Administrators, and we're here to dive into some more insights of Illiana Christian. You see, we kind of upped our game a little bit. We got a sign.
Well, from the great response we got, I mean, right now we're on kind of a hot streak. So I love the upgrade. It's fantastic.
We are trending.
Mm-hmm.
Got some foliage behind me too, so if I feel like I'm in the woods, I'm not really.
Oh, it's great.
We've got some mugs as we're drinking our coffee, Illiana Insights. Let me know if you want one. And again, any suggestions, send them to insights@illianachristian.org. We did get a couple from last time, so we're going to share our treat in a second, but next time we're going to have some healthy treats.
Okay.
Because we're
it might be a little better for us.
But before we dive in today, we got one here from you. Tell us what you did.
Well, it's an iced lemon loaf. I
love lemon.
It's a lemon loaf. Very, very light, very refreshing. I think you're going to enjoy it.
I think I'm on the no sugar thing, but I did make an exception for this day.
Yeah, there should be an exception for just this one.
All right, we're going to try this here. Iced lemon loaf.
Mm-hmm.
Better than Starbucks?
Better than Starbucks.
That's really good.
Come on.
Not going to lie.
Come on.
Oh. Well, I savor that.
You know what you're picking up, though?
Mm-hmm.
It's the zest.
The zest.
It's the zest, yeah.
That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're talking about this week is class trip. Lord willing, when this airs, I will be with 107 seniors in class trip in Washington, D.C. So my trivia question for you to start today is, and I'm not sure this is 100% correct.
Okay.
But what 6 cities has the class trip gone to over the years? And by cities, I mean you actually visited things.
Okay.
And I'm using, like, anything around D.C. I'm counting as one. So like Mount Vernon or Arlington, that's all considered one. So I kind of gave you one already.
So D.C. would count.
Yep.
Right. So would Williamsburg be one of them?
That is 2.
Nice.
I didn't know if you'd get that one.
Yep.
That's a good call.
Yep. That's good. Let's see. So when they're out of D.C., Virginia, they would be, oh, man.
On my class trip, we went here.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. But there's a lot of history here. It starts out, there were some signings that happened here.
Man, signings.
Big Bell.
Oh, you went to Philly?
Philly.
Oh, nice.
Valley Forge, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Hanging out with Frau, talking to Frau at Valley Forge about Baron von Steuben.
Baron von Steuben.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, yeah. Did they do a St. Louis trip?
They did.
Yep. That was a COVID
year.
one.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a good call.
So 2 more.
Okay. 2 more.
One is a very famous battlefield, and the other is a different capital.
Different capital. Another one's a famous battlefield. Well, if we're still going to be in Pennsylvania, I'm assuming.
Yep. Bloodiest battle of the war.
Yeah. Why am I drawing a blank right now?
It's also a movie. Gettysburg. To go to Gettysburg.
Come on. I'm embarrassed I didn't come up with that. I used to be a history teacher.
You were. I was too.
I've been in athletics for a while, though.
And the last
trip to Gettysburg, or was on the trip?
It was on the trip. They stayed there for a little bit.
One of the stops. Got it.
Stops.
Okay.
And the last one's just the capital, a little more local.
Springfield?
Yep.
When was that?
A long time ago.
The
exact dates. This is the best research I can come up with. Now, I'm sure someone might come to me and said, well, back in 1950, we went here, which would be great. We would love the history. So
love to learn it.
Mm-hmm. But that's great. So class trip is a great time. It's one of the unique things we do here at Illiana. I've gone. This will be my 18th time in 26 years.
Okay.
You go on class trip?
I've gone on class trip.
Tell me a favorite memory you had.
Okay, so there's a couple, but I'll narrow this one down because I've gone as a student and then I've gone as a chaperone as well. But as a student, I still remember the nights together at the hotel, the games. I remember Arlington National Cemetery, laying of the wreath.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple of times where, we were given a little leeway to go get lunch, and that sometimes got a little rambunctious.
Yes.
But all in all, I remember the time with friends. I remember, of course, you remember seeing the monuments, but you remember the time with people. I think that's always the thing that you're going to value is the time that you have together with people.
Yeah, it's always one of those funny things when we post the bus list, which we're going to do when we're filming this on Monday. So we'll do this afternoon.
Okay.
And everyone freaks out at first because, like, no, all my friends aren't on the bus.
Bus list is a big deal.
It is a big deal. But they always come back and say, you know what, I got to know this person, and they're really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that amount of time spent together is a really fun thing. So I have one. It's a long time ago. It's really kind of embarrassing.
Okay.
So this is like I'm like a second or third year teacher as a chaperone.
Pretty fresh.
It's free time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in love with Cheesecake Factory back then. I mean, it was
maybe a little too much.
Way too much. But I love good Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
I looked all over for them. So there's one kind of just outside the city. So I actually took Deb Camp and Rick Veldman on free time. We went out to the Cheesecake Factory, took the metro, and we ate lunch. And then, of course, at the end of lunch, you got to buy cheesecake.
Yeah, you have
it's
to.
called the Cheesecake Factory.
You can't skip the cheesecake.
So you buy it to go. It's in a little to-go bag, and we're walking back to the metro. And we get close, and some homeless lady walks up to me. And she's like, can I have your leftovers? Now, a little conundrum.
Yeah.
These aren't leftovers.
It's your cheesecake.
It's a $9 piece of cheesecake. So I thought about it for a second and then said, no. And just kept going.
Said no.
I said no.
Wow.
So we're riding the metro back. I was getting a little hungry. Yeah. So then I took out the cheesecake and started eating it because they give you a fork. But it didn't taste the same.
No.
It was chocolate chip cookie dough guilt. So I was annoyed. And then I wasn't hungry. Then when I got off the train, I threw it away. And then I felt even worse. So I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
So I go back to my class, and I'm actually teaching about the Reformation and grace. And I talked about how this lady didn't deserve my cheesecake.
Nobody does.
Nobody does. But what a blessing it would have been to her. So I remember teaching this. Well, I tell this story the next year. So when I go on class trip the very next year, my class was like, hey, we'll go with you, Mr. Davids. We'll go find her. We'll all buy cheesecake, and we'll find her. So she became known as Cheesecake Lady.
Yeah.
So we took the metro. I had like 8 kids come with me. We walked around for 2.5 hours looking for her. Couldn't find her. One of my students said she probably died of starvation because of me.
Wow, just laying on the guilt even more.
So
it's rough.
And so we did this for the next few years.
Yeah.
At the height of it, I think I had 65 kids come with me to look for Cheesecake Lady.
Wow.
Never found her.
Never found her.
But I still get emails sometimes or text messages from students former students who go downtown, eat at Cheesecake Factory, and bring the leftovers to homeless people. And they send me a text and being like, Mr. Davids, we did what you didn't do. We saved a life.
You know what? That story became really powerful to people. And I mean, think about how now that they're looking to give, how it created something that you didn't see the Lord making use of.
Yeah, my stupidity on some level, and
he often uses that.
My lack of grace. And I find it interesting how grace is one of those things I think sometimes we struggle with because we want to earn something.
Yeah.
And we definitely don't want to share it. And wouldn't it have been so nice just to give her a blessing? And I think when God does it, Ephesians talks about he lavishes grace. Like he's not hesitant. No. And that's such a powerful thing. So I share this with the students. So I talk about this when we do devotion. So we're going to show grace on the class trip.
Good.
And hopefully get a little back from people.
Yeah.
Instead of just sprinkling grace, which I think so many of us do.
That's true.
Another favorite class trip story. Did you have anything else like as a member there when you were a faculty member?
Well, when I was a faculty member, there's a sweet spot in the supervision that not a lot of people take advantage of. So there's a night where the students will go to Valley Forge in the morning. And I'd been to Valley Forge a couple of times. So there's an option to do security the night before. I don't know if you know about that one. You do security the night before, so you stay up late, which I never had an issue staying up late. I can stay up late. You stay up late, and then you get to sleep in because then you get to meet them over for lunch. So as somebody who doesn't mind maybe a few hours to myself, I did security the night before, and then they all went early to Valley Forge. I slept in. I met them up for lunch. I want to say I stopped for an hour and just sat by the river. Best morning of the whole trip.
That sounds awesome. I may have to take you up on that.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, we wanted to spend just a couple minutes talking about this because it's one of the unique things Illiana does is taking kids across the country. And we have such awesome kids. I've gone so many times as the administrator, and we very rarely have problems. In fact, I'll get it a lot where someone will go up to me and be like, who's in charge here? And usually my first response is, head down, that would be me. And they're like, your kids. They're just different.
Yeah.
And that's kind of our goal. We want to have fun, but we want to be difference makers and let people know that we're different by how we act. So we'll be in a hotel with 300 middle schoolers as well as us this time. So we definitely need to be different.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's something you don't realize maybe until you're out of the school or you're at a different school, or you just realize how special of a place this is. You know, there's no other place like it, and the students are what make it just a wonderful, wonderful place.
Yeah, so as we celebrate and heading out to D.C. on the way back, even though you're not going to see this till Friday, we are coming back on Friday and Saturday, so we do covet your prayers for safety. All the years we've done this, we don't ever want to take for granted how God has blessed us and kept us safe, because it's not an easy trip.
No, it's not.
And a good kudos to all our chaperones going. There are 12 of us.
Yeah.
We have a great staff who's willing to step up and spend, now it's 5 nights.
5 nights. It's a long trip.
It's a long trip.
It's going to be a great time.
It's a good time. And the lemon loaf?
I know.
Spot on.
You don't have to say it.
All right. That's all we have for today. Again, any insights you want us to talk about?
Or recipes.
Or recipes. Like we got the healthy one coming in 2 weeks. I'm excited for that because we're doing a health thing. I always challenge our staff. So October was no sugar. So that we did cheat a little bit, but it was worth it.
It was worth it.
The zest. So if you have any ideas for us, we'd love to share it. If you want his recipe, we're not afraid to share this too.
No.
Unless you are...
You give somebody Michelangelo's brushes, you're not going to paint a masterpiece.
There you go. And on that note, we hope you guys have a great day.